Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Cronkite Show in social media history. Say, I want to welcome you to the real. It don't get no realer than this. It's the war zone. I got my good friend Donovan Sadiq, my homegirl Demetra K, and I got a bona fide legend in the building. Say, man, when I got in the game, he was the first one to run into me. My man Quanell is in the war zone tonight. I hope y'all ready, because as usual, you're going to need a seatbelt by the time we get through. Say, I want to welcome you guys to the war zone. Say what's up to my co-hosts Donovan and Demetra. Tonight I got a brother in the building that has made a difference for a long, long time. Whether you like him or not, he get the job done. When I first started being an advocate and an activist, I ran into him at Fox Studios. He laid the game down to me like a real OG would. And told me what I needed to expect, told me how I needed to conduct myself. That's why y'all saw me at one time putting the suits on. My man said you got to put the suits on. So, tonight I got my good friend Quanell X in the building. What's going on, Q?
I am doing well, brother. In the midst of this COVID-19 epidemic, pandemic, or scaredemic, I am doing very well, brother. Thank you for having me on the War Zone to be a guest on this show. And to your co-host, Brother Donovan, I believe it is, and Sister Demetra, to the Queen, I greet you all in the greeting words of peace, in the words of the Black Liberation Struggle, Black Power, Free the Land, Hotep, and thank you for having me, brother.
Hey, no problem, man. Give us a brief background on how long you've been doing what you do, because people, they don't even understand how hard it is to do what we do, and to do it as long as you've been doing it, it's a true blessing to a lot of people, man.
I joined Islam in 1990 of September. I was able to attend a speech by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at then Sam Houston Coliseum, downtown Houston. And I have to admit that my brother and I were together. We smoked weed all the way to the Coliseum. We showed up high as a kite. And that was at the zenith of sweet Swisher Sweets. And we were sweeting all the way there, brother. And I know when we got there, we smoked like a pound of marijuana. But that didn't stop us from going. They let us in, they searched us, and we went in. And when I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speak, "As God is my witness, Brother Monroe," my life changed on the spot. I had never in my life heard a black man talk like that. I had never heard a brother so smart. But what blew me away even deeper, I never seen so many black men so well organized, so disciplined, so clean, and moved in unison. That was the first time I had ever seen some quote unquote Negroes look like the Secret Service. I had never experienced anything like that. And so it intrigued me. I joined that night. And from that moment forward, as God is my witness, September of 1990, when I left there, I told my brother, "I'm not smoking weed no more, Quincy." I say, "I'm done, bro." He said, "Man, you tripping." I say, "Bro, I'm done. I've never smoked another marijuana cigarette, square, swisher sweet, and I never took another drop of alcohol from that very night, September of 1990, to this very day. Not when children were born, New Year's, Christmas, homies passing and dying. No matter what the situation or circumstance or celebration or misfortune was, I never took another drop of alcohol or smoked another marijuana square." My life changed that night. So I joined in September of 1990. And I was able to, activism was never in my mind, brother. Let me be very clear. That was as far as my mind as anything else. I never even knew that God had blessed me with the gift of speech until the minister made us all submit to a course of study. And so the more we read and read and read and read, then I could articulate very well what we were required to study. And it blew my mind when I began to read things that we had never been taught in school, brother. And I remember my biggest issue with my mentor at the time, Brother Minister Robert Muhammad, who was Abdul Halim Muhammad now. I used to always say to him, because I would go to every meeting he went to, Whenever he had a meeting, I was there. Sometimes I would pick him up from his home and I would drive him to the mosque and I would take him home that night. I was with him everywhere he went for years. And I would always say to him, Brother Minister, why do you tolerate these Negroes? Brother Minister, you're too patient with these Negroes, because he was always meeting with the politicians and some of the activists who were very good brothers and sisters, but the elected officials and the pastors, many of them were absolutely the worst. And I'm 21, 22 years old, and I would say to myself, man, if Black people knew how arrogant some of these pastors are and how vain and egotistical they are. And then when I would learn that the ministers would have PACs, and then they would endorse candidates. But I did, and I learned that the candidate had to pay for the endorsement. I was blown away. I thought that you come in, make your presentation, present your platform, answer questions, and then they give their endorsement to the most qualified, the best interest of Black people. But no, you could buy the endorsement. And it blew my brother. And so I had a very low tolerance for that. But my mentor always told me, be patient with our people. You got to love them more. They've been taught to hate themselves. But my biggest pain was I couldn't stand a lot of them Negroes, brother. And so I was rebellious. I was hard-headed. But Minister Farrakhan would always teach us. He said, brother, if you're not willing to suffer on behalf of your people to redeem them, you're not qualified to lead them. So that's how I really got started as an activist in the Nation of Islam.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Quincy. A lot of people don't know Q. They don't know the other Q. And God bless him, and God bless you, because people don't even know that for a long time, many, many years up, and still to this day, Quanell sponsors youth football. People never knew. You see what I'm saying? And these are kids from our neighborhood that don't have the money. And he never brags about it. He never says anything. So yeah, I'm gonna put you out there, and I want to shout out to Q, who been in them parks for 20-something years.
Right.
And we done had some wars, man, when I was coaching. I just want to shout out to Q. Demetri, you got it.
Well, once again, I'd like to say welcome, and it's a pleasure meeting you. And just listening to your story, I can't help but to think of my father's story, who has been a member of the Nation of Islam since he was 19. So roughly about, 55, 56 years. And he said when he was first introduced to the Nation of Islam, he was on his way with a full ride scholarship to Pepperdine University. And he turned it down to study under the Nation, because he said he knew that he wouldn't learn who he was at Pepperdine University, that he would learn who he really was through the Nation of Islam. So just hearing your story, I know personally from my father's testimony how powerful the Nation has been. So, and I think anybody who has been able to hear Minister Louis Farrakhan speak, I too heard him speak in 1990 at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Now, I've heard him speak before that, but it would just...
In fact, I went to LA and was there at the Coliseum.
So you know how many people were there.
Yeah, but that's when Dr. Khalid actually got into it with the Jews out front of the Coliseum. And I remember walking up the steps, and there was some white people protesting death to Farrakhan. We want Farrakhan. How do you want him dead? And I remember this bald-headed Black man, well-dressed, just looked chiseled. He come out with a squad of men and walked up to him and said to them, say death to Farrakhan one more time. I dare you, and I'll break your damn neck in this concrete. And they never said it again. That was my first encounter with Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. May Allah be pleased with him and rest his soul.
And I actually had the pleasure of meeting him a few times. And my father was probably one of those men standing with him, because my father was actually his first lieutenant. So as you said, Brother Khalid Muhammad was an awesome man. So I'll turn it over to Donovan.
All right. Hey, welcome. Heard a lot about you. Now, I'm not a Muslim or anything like that, even though people say, oh, your name is Sadiq. So are you Islamic or what did I say? Well, yeah, it's an Islamic name, but I'm not a Muslim. But I follow it very, very much. When the Honorable Louis Farrakhan had the Million Man March. You know, I did 24 years in the military, so you know, they really were coming down on brothers that were doing some trying to do some militant things. And
Right.
I was lucky to have attended that thing, and I still have my little pass that they gave you. And I went, you know, I wasn't supposed to go, but I went anyway. And I heard some fabulous stuff in how, as Black men, we are supposed to take back our communities and our families and all that great stuff. But I'm the one on the show, and I always say this: when wisdom is talking, sit and listen. But I'm taking notes too, brother. So welcome to the show.
Brother, I did not know, Sadiq, you attended the Million Man March. Whew. You know, do you find it difficult when people ask you about the Million Man March to try to explain what actually took place on that day? Because when you try to explain it, if you were not there, you could not comprehend what you were a part of. And it was so profound when you tell people, do you remember the scene where the brother died at the march? The old man died, and he was way in the back, and he was in the process of dying.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, if they want to take to the hospital, he said, no, if I die today, let me die right here with my brothers. And out of respect to the elder, they picked his body up, and the brothers passed him from the back, Brother Monroe.
Yeah, I heard that. Mm-hmm.
In the air, like this, in the air. They passed him through the crowd in the air, like this, all the way to the front. And the elder died 10 minutes later at the rostrum in the front, listening to Mr. Farrakhan. And what was deep, you know, not one brother was arrested for anything. 2 million Black men, not one brother was arrested for anything. Minister Farrakhan instructed us to clean up before we left. Mm-hmm. Not a piece of garbage was left on the ground. Not a bubblegum wrapper was left on the ground at the end of that march. And I'll never forget when I was going that morning, and I was with the brothers, and we were going up. Brother Khaled was with us. And so as we were going, we were like, man, is it really going to take place? I don't think 1 million men going to show up. And we got there, brother, and we just saw crowds of men. This was a Monday morning. And there was so many brothers just walking. They shut the streets down to where white folks in their cars looking around, what is this? And Black men were coming from everywhere. And then about 11 o'clock, you looked out because I went to the stage. And when you looked out, Brother Monroe, you couldn't count or see the Black men that were there. You couldn't even, if you had binoculars, you couldn't see to the end of all of those brothers. Wow. But it's deep you brought that up, brother, because that's something that every Black leader, Muslim or non-Muslim, should make required instruction and teaching to all young Black men and women, that 2 million brothers could show up on a Monday morning, take the day off work from school, all of that, and shut the nation's capital down. Clinton got on a plane and flew the hell out of there. Him and Hillary. They shut it down. The first time in American history that the Senate closed because of a non-national disruption, but they considered a national security threat, and the Senate shut down and Congress. I think there should be required reading for all young Black brothers and sisters. And that day, I hope and pray that those of us who were there never let that day die and be.
As an activist, I always tell people I stay in my lane. And when the Maleah Davis situation happened, people like, Monroe, you ain't got much to say. I say, nah, the big brother got that. I ain't got to worry about that. I already know he gonna handle that. So me and you talked, I think we talked twice during that time. And you know, a lot of people, once they figured out you were coming on the war zone, you know, they like, man, can we get an update on Maleah? Because they don't hear nothing, and they don't want to forget this beautiful little queen. They don't want to forget her. So if you can you provide us with some type of an update in regards to the Maleah Davis case?
I'll do a little more with an update, and then I'll give you some details, some small details that I've never talked about. And that's going to be talked about during the trial. When I first got involved with the Maleah Davis case, we all thought something was wrong with that story. just on the surface, it didn't seem right. And so when I began to talk with sister, the mother, Brittany, and had conversations with her, I said, let me get some brothers over there and start doing some due diligence. So I sent 3 brothers over to the apartment complex, and they were literally going door to door talking to whoever they could to find the information about the brother and Brittany and Leah and other sibling to find out what was going on, what could they find out. I talked to police sources to see what I could squeeze out of them before I ever met with Brittany. Then I was able to speak with family members that really shared some vital information with me. And so when I sat down with Brittany, I listened to what she had to say, asked a few questions about Darren, and she was extremely concerned for him. She had a tremendous amount of concern for him and his well-being. And it was strange to me because I'm like, your daughter's still missing. And he didn't gave a flimsy, crazy story, but you have all this great concern for him. So then I was that I knew the cops didn't even have. So I began to raise questions to her. I say, what about when he would pick her up from the daycare and you didn't know? And she looked. She said, her first word, she said, how you know that? I said, sister, I know. I said, talk to me about it. And she began to speak about that. I said, well, let me ask you another question. Did he whoop her? She said, well, no, not really. I said, no. I say, did he whoop on this, such and such, and this was the reason, blah, blah. She said, how you know? I say, sister, I know. And then that's when it started crumbling about the secret house and things that have been covered up and how she failed to protect her own child. And she knew what was going on. And I was saying, I got emotional for a second and I slapped the table and said, how could you leave your child with this man? And I had to catch myself because I know I got to do. And I don't want to make the relationship so advantageous and argumentative to where I can't get to our ultimate goal, where's Maleah. And so I had to swallow a lot, brother. I had to really swallow a lot, but the ultimate goal is find this baby. And so I found there was a brother locked up with him in the area where he was locked up. And I was able to get some information. I went and saw the brother who was in the area where he was and talked to him. I said, how you doing, brother, blah, blah. He met with me and said, I was the gentleman in the cell down on the road from me. He said, oh, that dude, blah, blah. He told me some things. I said, okay, all right, I appreciate it, brother. You know, you're all right. I said, okay, but I just wanted to sit and talk with you for a second and get a few questions. So I wanted to get some internal intel about this brother before I ever talked to him because I knew he was desirous of talking to me, but I made him wait to talk to me because the more I made him wait, the more antsy he would be to open up, I knew. And so I popped up on him one time. I think we talked for 35 minutes and I had all of the information that I needed about where her body was and what happened and what had taken place. I just had a conversation just 2, maybe 3 days ago now about the status of the case and where everything is. The results sent back as soon as the courts open back up, and there has to be and there will be a murder charge against him because he did strike her with a blunt object and strangle the baby. That's what he did. And so the murder charge was coming, but COVID-19 has shut down the courthouse and slowed everything up. But they wanted to make sure that the FBI did all of the testing and did all of the forensic work. So they sent everything to the feds, and they've come back with firm conclusions about everything. So murder charge.
Wow. Demetra, go. You can go.
So I'm just kind of eyeballing the comments a little bit, and people are inquiring about the arrest of the mother. Do you have any information in regards to that, or do you think she should be arrested?
I believe the mother must be held accountable for what she participated in. I believe she held accountable for what she helped cover up. I believe she should be held accountable for the lies she told. She knew the abuse that was happening to that baby and lied about it. When she had to go to the hospital for the injury that she suffered, she knew the baby did not fall. She knew that he had done that. And so she knew the physical abuse and she helped cover it up. She intentionally and knowingly lied about it in the hospital because she didn't want to see him get in trouble. And so she has to be held accountable for what she knew. She must be held accountable for not protecting that baby who couldn't protect herself when she was fully aware of the abuse and helped cover it up. To me, she has to be charged with negligent homicide because she was totally negligent in protecting her daughter and helping to cover up the abuse that subsequently led to her death and murder. That's just my opinion. But if they let her walk, well, hell, they let Lacey Peterson walk too. So I wouldn't be shocked. But I know one thing, that's not something that we should ever tolerate.
Exactly. Donovan?
Yeah, that's a pretty tough case there. But in cases of murder and homicide, real serious cases, what is your take on the death penalty? Is that something that should be eye for an eye? I know being a Muslim, but
I believe the problem with the death penalty in America is it was never passed or intended to be applied to rich white people. It was always intended to be applied to the poor. Because if you're rich, no matter what the crime is, you never get the death penalty. The death penalty are for those who primarily only get court-appointed attorneys. Show me how many cases where you had a financially rich defendant charged with murder or mass murder that got the death penalty. That does not happen. It only happens with poor people. So I'm against the way the death penalty is disproportionately and racistly applied to Black, brown, poor people. But I'm not against the death penalty because I firmly believe for what that brother did to Maleah, the only punishment should be death. I'm just being honest with you. How could you do that baby the way you did that baby? You picking that baby up from daycare, when she's supposed to be at school, and you taking her back home to have your way with that child. Ain't no damn sale good enough for you. So why we sitting around, you and me, Brother Donovan or Demetra or Brother Gary, we spending tax dollars to feed a Negro like that 3 meals, his dental, his health care, make sure his laundry is done. The hell with that. We give him the same prescription he forced that baby to drink from. So I'm not against the death penalty, but I'm against the racist application of it. And it's only applied to poor people. It needs to be overhauled and cleaned up. But some of these folks deserve the death penalty. I think the death penalty is given to pedophiles. I'm being honest with you. They catch you selling child pornography. They catch you sharing child pornography. Like the white girl in Galveston, she recording while her boyfriend is molesting her 2-year-old daughter. Now, hell no, that's the death penalty. Ain't no jail for that. Ain't no therapy and counseling for that. You got men around here exchanging child pornography. They using family members' children, raping them on video and selling the footage. You deserve to die, period. So I believe we should be fair and we should be on time when we do it. We got that video? All of appeals don't matter. I'm gonna cut the appeal short right there. We got you live on camera. And we deal with it righteously. And so the next freak that think he wants to prey on a child like that will say these people ain't playing.
Let me ask you something, Q. One, I think the whole country wants to thank you for getting Maleah back home. We couldn't rest. We were running through it just like you were running through it. So thank you for getting her back home. What would you tell the rest of the Britneys out there? Because they do exist every day in every single city. We have a Britney in every single city. What would you tell these women about this situation, and just about being a conscientious mother to make sure that your children are protected?
Brother, the first thing I would say is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that a nation can rise no higher than its woman, and that we as black men should uplift and protect the black woman. The problem is, Jesus said it best. He said, God the head of Christ, Christ the head of man, and man is the head of woman. If the women have gone crazy, well, brothers, we got to look in the mirror at ourselves, because God said we should be in charge of the decency and protection of our community. So the first thing I would say before I speak to the Britneys, let me speak to Johnny, Larry, JoJo, and John. We got to come together, brothers, and we got to clean up our community by any means necessary. When I was growing up, Gary, Sister Demetra, Brother Donovan, man, wasn't no such thing as a strip club in the black community. You couldn't find one. But why in the hell are we tolerating that now? We got sisters stripping on a pole a block from the church in a strip club. But when our fathers were coming up, the club would be in ashes. So we blaming our sisters when the men have become so punctified and so weak in how we deal with the situations of determining and controlling what is spilled and spent and shared to our children and our people. So I got to say to the brothers, hey, man, you know, it's amazing, brother, how we love to point the finger at what white folk do to us and how wicked white folks are. But yet we go very silent about what we do to one another. Some heinous things, things that are undebatable heinous. So I would encourage the brothers, listen, brothers, man, we got to come together. Ain't no such thing about what your religion is. God don't care about your religion. God cares about your conduct, your behavior. Because even a fool that's on the corner, that's a wino, he's not concerned with the label on the outside of the bottle. He's more concerned with the contents pouring down from the inside. We got to get more about spirituality and content among us and not a label. When we do that, we can come together, but it's unacceptable what we as the men are tolerating that produce many Britneys now in our community. Because even older black women didn't let a Britney exist. Sisters would deal with sisters back then, not anymore. So that's the way we were, but look at the way we are now. To you mothers, listen to me, sisters. I don't care how fine he is. I don't care how handsome he is. I don't care how good the love making may be in the bed, in the kitchen, wherever the hell y'all want to do it. Don't you let no fool please you and you bring him in the house around your children and you don't really know that man's background. You let that man pass a real test when you're a single mother to be around your children. Every single woman should do a criminal background check on any man that's trying to get with her. You bringing molesters in your home around your children, going to the store while he's raping your daughter while you buying groceries because you was too damn lazy to do your homework into this man. Look, sisters, it's better that you be single and let God be your man than to hook up with these fools that's raping your children and you keep your mouth shut because he's paying bills. God is my witness, Brother Gary. About 10 years ago, I had a sister call me, wanted to help her husband get out of prison. I say, well, what is he in prison for? Well, he molested my daughter. I said, well, how long did he get? She said 15 years. She said, but I want to help him get out. I say, well, sister, I can't help you get him out so you can kill him. She said, no, I love him. And he's changed. I say, where's your daughter? She's still around. I say, so you want me to help get the man out of prison that raped your own daughter? She say, she's forgiven him and it's over with now. I say, man, don't you ever call my damn number again. I said, in fact, you ought to be in jail with him. As God is my witness, brother or sister from South Acres called me from where I was raised, trying to help me get this man out of prison who raped his own child. That's how sick it is now, Brother Gary. You got sisters that know what these men are doing to their children, but will blame the child, will blame the girl. These are mothers doing this. Put the child out the house and keep the man there. But the deal is, I say this. If you're a young girl and you're being raped by a stepfather, or you're being raped by a boyfriend or male friend of the family or member of the family, you tell your mother, tell the school, tell your mentor, your pastor, your neighbor, but make sure first you tell your biological daddy. You go straight to your daddy, your biological father, and tell him what the hell is going on. And I want to say this to you, sisters. If your biological daddy don't do nothing, reach out to me. Because them the kind of Negroes we should put on programs like this. Your daughter came to you and told she was being raped by this man, and you ain't do a damn thing about it. You don't even deserve to be alive. See, that's what we got to do, Gary.
Exactly.
Brother, we playing. You in a damn club having fun, and your daughter just told you she's being raped, and the rapist ain't had a damn word from you. No, brother. We got to change the way we do things. Exactly. We got to be more of the internal police force for our community. Brothers got to know, if you rape that little girl, she get it to us, your ass is grass when we find out. Pardon my French, but that's the way we have to act and become, brother. So, you know, that's my message to the Britneys of the world. This is real, but it's too much madness going on, man. When I was growing up, Brother Gary, I remember, I'll never forget this. I was up at Cloverland Park playing basketball, and Johnny Binder was up there. And Johnny Binder's Reverend Jeremiah now. He was up playing basketball. And Smitty, brother named Carl Alonzo Smith, Smitty came up to the park with a good friend of mine now, Kenneth Bell. And they came into the park, and Smitty was smoking weed. And I remember Jeremiah said to Smitty, man, see them old ladies over there, man, put that weed out, bro. We can't do that in front of old ladies like that, man. Let's go back behind the building. Smitty put it out, went back behind the building, chopped up what he had to chop up, and went on. But I'm saying it to say this. Now our young brothers at the park smoke weed right in front of the grandmothers and smoke it right in front of the kids, and don't nobody say nothing. The point I'm making is even the gangsters had rules.
Exactly.
And the rule was you didn't hit anybody on a Sunday. If you had to settle a dispute, you couldn't shoot anyone on a Sunday during church hours. That was one. There was another rule. You didn't put your hands on civilians. If wars broke out in the streets, it was between the brothers in the gang, but you couldn't harm civilians.
Exactly.
Now everybody's free game. But these were rules that the gangsters put in place. We've gotten away from the way we used to do things, brother, and we got to get back there.
Demetra?
100% agree with you. And just before I go to the next point, I always think if there were some men, and I'm sure there's a lot of men around R. Kelly who knew what he was doing. If when he first started doing that, somebody would have, whooped his butt, put a foot to his backside or something, I believe he probably wouldn't be or have gone as far as he's gone. But let's go ahead and transition to Ahmaud Arbery, a young man that was murdered by the white supremacists in Georgia. We've all, I think by now, have had a chance to see the video where the two white men pretty much hunted him down as he was going for an afternoon jog on a Sunday afternoon. They murdered him in cold blood, fabricating a story saying that, he looked like a burglary suspect. And, they were asking him to stop, and it, was aggressive. And the story. It's always the same, really. And so I don't think that we're shocked that this is still happening to Black people in 2020. But I want to ask you, in your opinion, what needs to be done by us to stop what's going on as far as us being lynched?
One of the first things we have to do when these things happen is stop letting bought and paid for window dressing, handkerchief head Negro leaders become the leaders of the march, the leaders of the cause for justice, the leaders of the mobilization and the organizing. We got to stop let hand-picked elected official type Negroes be the spokespeople for us for liberation and justice. That's the first. Because many of the Negroes we see out front when somebody is killed or murdered, them Negroes will not bust a grape in the fruit factory with a sledgehammer. So let's get them out of the way, because many of those brothers have lost their testicular fortitude to even raise their voice to the enemy in the right manner and demand the right thing. That's one problem. Two, we failed to learn from white folk the way we were supposed to. One thing Malcolm X said is that there was no better example than the white man as what to do when you wrong me. One thing about white folks, they taught Negroes very well. When you harm white folks, there's a price to be paid immediately, and the other white folks who have to judge them for it call it justifiable. We got to stop being the only one going to the graveyard. See, right now, we go to the graveyard, we cry, we protest, they make a marker, make a documentary, we make pilgrimage to the site of the grave or the murder site. Everybody going about their business. But I say we treat white folks the same way they've delighted for hundreds of years in treating us when they perceive we have wronged them. And white folks know exactly what I'm talking about. So I say we treat you like you treated Osama bin Laden when he was your enemy. Because the first bombing in America using airplanes as terrorist weapons was not in New York City. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they used airplanes to murder black men, women, and children in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the hundreds. But yet they say that it was used in New York, declared Osama bin Laden an enemy of the state, and everyone who gave him comfort and support, we declared them enemy of the state. Well, it's the same thing we got to say to white folks. When you murder us, you are an enemy of the state when you kill us in blood. And to the district attorney, to the judges, to the politicians, and the Negro leaders that help you get away with it, you too are declared enemies of the state, and we will hold you accountable. That is the only way that this will stop. There's got to be mutual caravans to the graveyard. Period. I'm telling you, this is Trayvon Martin 2.0. And now George Zimmerman is selling the murder weapon, auctioning the murder weapon online. See, you can only do that to weak Negroes that you feel like ain't looking for you. See, you can say, I'm going to auction the weapon I used to kill a child. And white folk get in line and bid high dollars for it. See, the bottom line is, man, we got to change the way we deal with them. And when we do deal with them by the means they deal with us, that's all the change we need. I guarantee you the game will change. Anything shorter than that is not going to work. We've set in, we've marched in, we've yelled in, we've burned down our own communities about it. Hell, some of them have slept in just to get next to the enemy. But ain't none of that gonna work. If we not down to set the goddamn city on fire, ain't none of this gonna work.
Donovan?
Honest belief. And I've been doing this at least almost 30 years. For 28 years, I've been doing this. We watched them kill Byron Gillum, same way, right there in 3rd Ward, right there by Yates. We watched them kill Idly Delaney the same way.
Man.
Nobody held accountable. The bottom line is, man, everybody thought I was crazy when I said after the Trayvon Martin death that I was going to lead a protest to River Oaks. They thought I had lost my mind. This nigga is crazy. You going to River Oaks? I say yes, because no black leader or activist or organization has ever taken a fight to River Oaks. And that is the seat of what injustice and financial injustice, political injustice in this city, that's the seat of the control of it right there. So I say, man, let me let these white folks know. They're not dealing with the same group of niggas they've been used to dealing with for so many years. And we took crowds and went straight up in the River Oaks, scared the hell out of them crackers. Some super rich white folk had never seen nothing like that. And then we went to 288. And that was a memorable moment because we were the first ones in the nation to shut down a major highway right here in Houston. Then when it went around the news that we shut down 288, then other cities start doing the same thing. Look, we got to disrupt this situation so strong financially also to where they demand serious change. We got to shut down the Rockets game. We got to shut down the Texans game. And we got to be fighting out there like cats and dogs with crackers. That's the only way it's going to work. That's just period, man. And some of us are willing to die. I have to be honest with you. Because John Henry said, if white folks give me liberty or give me death. And Minister Malcolm X said it best, death is sweeter than slavery. When is this going to stop? When we make them stop.
Donovan?
I'm just going to switch it up just a little bit. I just have a question. Okay, like in our community, and you were talking about the men, and the men take a big responsibility in leading the community and the way it is today. So, I did 24 years in the military. So, I come from a military family. So sometimes young mothers will come to me and say, oh, my son is, so this, I can't control him. I'm thinking about putting him in the military. And, sometimes going in the military is not a good thing, especially if that child isn't disciplined to take orders or do what they need to do. And you could come out of the military and just destroy yourself when you come in the civilian world. My question basically is, why is it that our sisters and fathers don't sometimes say, you know what, son, maybe you don't need to go to college, because not everybody's college bound. It's just like Demetrius' father. Sometimes you might, steer him and say, I think you need to get a little bit more discipline and maybe understand you, because people always talk about the HBCUs, and I'm not against HBCUs. Went to one, but to me, the biggest HBCU is the Nation of Islam.
I think one of the biggest problems is, and I've said this for decades, the number one institution that should be manufacturing and producing the assembly line of productive Black men should be the Black church. Because you got one on every one. How can some of these pastors brag, I got 5,000 members, I got 8,000 members, I got 10,000 members, but everything is going to hell all around your church? The prostitutes are literally to shut down the entrance of your church, but Negro, you bragging about having 10,000 members. Are you serious? Right there in South Houston, I watch our brother who has a nice congregation, beautiful church, on TV complaining to HPD about they not doing enough to prostitutes from in front of his church. You don't see no hoes in front of the mosque like that. You don't see no prostitution in front of the Nation of Islam like that. And we ain't calling 911 to fix the problem. That's the problem, brother. You have some real Negro pastors who've been the number one architects of keeping Black people under oppression, mentally, spiritually, and financially. It is sad that we've gotten away from what's biblically correct, and we care more now about what's politically correct and acceptable in the Black church. And I have to say this, and I know some are going to disagree with me and might even get angry with me. We have too many weak homosexual men leading young Black boys right now, period. Period. And you got Negroes in the church, in the pulpit, talking about how they like to watch butt-naked boys dance in the club. In the church, in the pulpit. Got audio asking a man to come give him oral sex. But yet he's back in church leading come Sunday. Man, this is sickness. This is sin, sickness that has taken over our community. I love pastors that are fighting night and day to clean up the situation. I think one of the best pastors in this city, the best that I have, if I was not a Muslim, I'd follow that brother, Pastor T.K. Anderson, over at Lily Grove Baptist Church. Because that brother keep it absolutely real, man. He don't care about no political acceptance. He don't care about making no friends with the mainstream. He care about the word of God. We need more like him, brother, for us pastors in this community. If we don't, we're going to hell because we're already there, brother. So if we're going to produce black men, we got to change the leadership of black men. And then we back to those after proper and appropriate leadership, brother. That's just how it is.
Of course, we just found out that they charged the two guys in Georgia with murder. And I see some people celebrating that, oh, they charged them. You ain't do us no goddamn favor. It shouldn't have took 2 months for you to charge them. That's the problem that I have with the whole process with black people. You think that we just got something major done. If you fought at a cop too loud, you in handcuffs, you beat up, you going downtown. You murdered 2 black men. And because the only thing that got them dudes in jail right now, Quanell, and you know it, is that video.
The threat.
If that video was never leaked, they would get away with murder.
That's right.
And what's sad, and you just finished speaking on it, is and people keep worrying about all the elected officials. I don't give a damn about the Asian elected official. I don't care nothing about the white elected official right now. I'm talking about the black ones that are silent, that ain't opening their mouths right now. You know, Joe Biden said, they don't give a fuck what Joe Biden said. You wouldn't have, you didn't say it 20 years ago. You didn't say nothing 2 months ago before they leaked the video. Man, talk to these people, brother, so they can get a clear. These folk ain't did us no favors today. They should have been charged from day one.
Well, brother, here's the problem. It is a good step in the right direction. But what we should demand now is a change of venue. Because if they're going to be put on trial with the same racist white folk that wouldn't charge him in the first place, if he's going to be prosecuted by the same DA's office that he worked for and retired from, if he's going to be judged by his peers that think it's all right what he did, well, we celebrating too prematurely for nothing, like Trayvon Martin. We got to demand that the feds step in. The feds do the prosecution, because see, then he'll be tried, not just countywide. Then everybody can be summoned to sit on that jury, and it won't be a biased DA's office with whom he worked for that didn't want to charge him in the first place, that wrote in the letter that he committed no crime. So what are we celebrating for? So his cousins, his uncles, and brother-in-laws, and good friends for decades let him off? Because they'll be the jury. So we're way too premature like this. We call this a celebration.
Let me say this here, and you speak on this, Q. Right now, you have these quote unquote celebrity Negro lawyers, Lee Merritt and that other clown, Benjamin Crump. I want everybody to understand something. Q finna break this down for y'all, how this go with these dudes, man. So when something happen, you go run into them, tell them what gonna happen to them, Q.
I've had several brothers and sisters who've come to me who were represented by Mr. Crump and represented by Mr. Merrick. People think when they see the lawyers out front that the lawyers are there advocating for social justice and social activism. That's not necessarily the case often. Before Ben Crump will speak out publicly for you and Mr. Merrick, you have to sign a contract with them for them to be your civil lawyers, and that you have to give them up to 50% of any settlement that you receive in a lawsuit. So what they do is they step out front, and you think they're fighting for justice when they're fighting for a great settlement because it financially benefits them that they already receive 50% of the settlement because that's in the contract. But also in that contract, I have a copy of it. Also in that contract, you're charged as the client for all of the expenses. So all of the flights back and forth, and the private flights too, comes out of your settlement. So when you see these quote unquote lawyers The mistake that you're thinking is they're there for social justice and social activism. Lawyers come back to represent the community. No, 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 baby. This is a financial interest, because will they do it without the contract? They have not done that. Just like the brother in Baytown who got beat by the cops in Baytown, who didn't do anything in that parking lot of the grocery store. That brother learned a hard lesson. Ben Crump come to town, speak up for him. And the brother was talking to me before. I said, brother, listen to me. Don't make that move. I'm telling you, brother, don't sign nothing. If he wants to fight for you, then let him fight for you. But if you sign no contract, giving him financial contingency of anything that you settle for. And lo and behold, the brother signed it and got burnt up and left out in the cold and dropped by Mr. Crump, as well as another one here in Houston with Lee Merrick got dropped by Mr. Merrick also, when they realized there was no financial incentive to be gained in a lawsuit against the state of the county or the city. So when you see this, you have to understand something. There's a tremendous financial interest involved for the lawyers. It's not about activism. But let me tell you how the activists are pimped. Let me tell you how the activists are pimped. I worked on a case back in 2000 where a brother was at work and they put a noose around that brother's neck.
I remember that.
And the brother hired a lawyer, and the lawyers worked for him. But before they hired the lawyers, we led the protest. We held the press conference. We led the protest in front of the business. We shut down the business for a day. And the brother was awarded $1 million. Do you know we spent about $4,000 fighting on that brother's behalf? And when that family got that $1 million, they didn't give us $1. They didn't even cover the expenses that we spent out of our own pocket fighting for their loved one. And they had $1 million, but you know who got paid? The lawyers. And it was us that backed the company into the corner. And the threat that we presented pushed them to settle the case. But the black brothers and sisters who fought so hard to make it happen got zero. And that ain't the first time. So even we as activists, man, we get taken advantage of all the time, brother. This is true. People was arguing about, oh, Quanell doing it for the reward money. He gonna get the Maleah reward money. Look, fool, I already knew going in I couldn't get no reward money, because it had been a documented understanding with Crime Stoppers for 20 years. Activists do not receive Crime Stoppers rewards. That was already documented. But I refuse to address the foolishness, continue doing my work. But brother, let me tell you something. There was a case of Randy Sylvester. I don't know if you remember this, Brother Gary. Brother named Randy Sylvester in Pasadena. He said his 2 children had come up missing and that he thought somebody had abducted his children. And come to find out, he murdered both of his children and burnt them alive in a suitcase. Wow. And he led me to the bodies. He led me to the bodies. And when I was walking with the brother, I kept saying, brother, let's just stop and show me, point where the bodies are. I'll tell the police where to go. He said, no, I want you to see it. Then it went further down, about maybe 50 more. I said, brother, let's just pitch black dark and let's just stop, point to the direction. They'll go over there and look, and they can find. Say, no, brother, I want you to see it. And when I went over there, brother, he opened the damn briefcase in front of me. And I saw the burnt children in the briefcase. And when he opened it, a chemical rushed out of it. A chemical came out. Some type of chemical came out of it quick. Well, I breathed it in. And so I developed a viral chest infection from it. You with me? While the cops was on TV receiving awards, while they was getting bonuses, I didn't have no health insurance. Where was I going to go? And thank God for Dr. Edith Irby Jones. May God rest her soul.
Yes, sir.
She treated me for free. And I had to borrow money to pay for the prescriptions that I was on for 2 weeks to get the infection of the decomposed bodies out of my lungs. Brother, let me tell you something, Brother Gary. You know how many times the police officers union sued me for speaking out on behalf of black people? Sued me on 3 separate occasions because they knew that they would try to silence me through the lawsuits. And I spent all of my children's money, college fund, defending myself in a lawsuit for speaking on behalf of Black people from the HPD lawsuits. Every dime. But I thank God for Brother Matthew Knowles and Sister Beyonce, who made sure my children got it back. And I've never spoke about that publicly. But, brother, a lot of us don't understand what activists really go through. Man, it is unbelievable what we have to endure, brother, if you're legitimately a real activist. Now, if you're just somebody just playing and doing a little bit here and there, you ain't no problem. But if you're really seen as a threat to white people, a threat to law enforcement, they're going to come after you in so many different ways, brother, to where you're going to be on your toes night and day trying to defend and protect yourself. Being an activist is a cold, cold, painful job, brother. And many of the handkerchief head Negro leaders want to see you fall more so than be successful, because they hoping and praying you never come after them, because they know they're worthy to be came after.
Demetri?
I want to piggyback off of what you said about activists and payment. There's a lot of people who feel activists shouldn't get paid. I'm not one of those people. I feel like if you do the work, you should be paid for what you do. But so what do you feel about hearing people say, oh, you should do it for free? If you really was, love Black people or the Black community, you should just do it for free. Well, what do you say to that?
I believe that activists should not be paid for everything that we do. I believe there should not be a price tag attached to all of the work that we do. But I believe in order to be an activist that is free and independent and that can fight without compromise and fear, then you must be independently financed outside of the white man system. Because if you're financially dependent and beholden to a mainstream system, well, then they can take your livelihood from you and shut you up tomorrow. But an activist that you really want, that's fearless and that can't be compromised, he has to have an independent source of income that he can fall back on, or she can fall back on, to stand up for Black people. Now, you want to say activists should not be paid. Do you say the same thing about your pastor? You preach that word of Jesus all day. You give them Negroes a love offering all day. You buy them planes, you buy them jets and helicopters. But when your backside is eaten up by white folk, you don't go to them, you come to us. And some of them send you to us.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Every week. But the Black man is fighting that damn devil on your behalf because you've been vilified and you've been done wrong. We should do it for nothing. How in the hell we gonna survive and fight for Black people working for free? You don't ask the Boy Scouts to do it for free. But you don't say nothing to them. And to those Negroes that say, well, you should do it for free. Okay. Well then, brother, all that we do should not have a price tag to it. But ain't nowhere in the world we can do everything for free. It's impossible. We don't take government funding. We don't take state funding. We don't take city funding. We don't have state, city, or governmental contracts to subsidize our payroll for those who work for us. When I hire investigators, they don't work for free. They working for me. When I hire medical examiners to give me an independent analysis of an autopsy report, they ain't doing it for free. When I hire lawyers to draft letters for me on a client's behalf and give us instructions of what we need to do, they're not doing it for free. But it's amazing how we pay for everything white folk wants to pay for. But Black folks who stand up for us should do it for free. Dr. King didn't do it for free. Let's tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. put the March on Washington on. And the Jewish organization, who was the founder of the NAACP in New York, gave him $850,000 to put that march on and paid off his house so he wouldn't have to be worried about rent. He didn't really do it for free. He did it out of love, but everything he did wasn't for free. So I would say, yes, do as much as we can for free. And God knows I do. But ain't nowhere in the world we can do everything for free. It's impossible.
I'm gonna piggyback on you, man, because I do it. I mean, I'm faithful, and you brothers that's been out there, you Derek, Dr. Abdul, one day I called Derek for some advice. I said, man, I'm the little brother in this. He said, nah, you ain't the little brother no more. You done grew up in this game. So, a lot of people don't understand. We need information. We got to get files. You go file a Freedom of Information Act. Sometimes people charging you $400-500 for this.
That's
So,
right.
at the end of the day, yeah, if we could do a lot of this stuff for free, we would. But I mean, just to put gas in the car, it's what it is. And
Brother,
like I tell people, and I don't care if they get mad, Q, I'm not gonna tax you. This is what I charge, and I'm an advocate. I clarify that. I love being an advocate. So when you call me, this is what I charge. This is the agreement. If you can't handle that, I'll work with you. But if you can't handle that, you're gonna have to call somebody that can work with you. I mean, because if you telling me I need to come to Oklahoma City, come on, man.
Brother, let me tell you, one of our good sisters in the Panther Party, I won't call my sister's name because I don't want to embarrass my sister, but she took her last payroll check to go out of town to lead a protest. And she called me and said, brother, we don't have gas money to get back. I said, sister, what's going on? Thousands of people showed up at the protest and they ain't have gas money to get back. And I sent my sister the money so that she would get back into the city. But it's a shame, brother, that she go down there with a squad of people to fight for black people and she ain't got gas money to get home. Brother, that's wrong. And it ain't right, man. And here it is, even the stripper gonna be paid, whether her performance is good or bad. But you want black men and women to sacrifice their lives to keep our community safe and strong and clean. You want us to do it for free. And then when we're poor and we're raggedy, you make fun of us.
Mm-hmm.
We look raggedy and look poor and rusty, you talk about us. No, brother, come on now. Sisters, come on now. If you want real activists, you got to make sure your activist ain't working for Merrill Lynch. You got to make sure ain't working for the mayor's administration. You got to make sure that your activist ain't downtown working at the sheriff's office part-time and your activist after work. That shit is not going to work. Pardon my French. I've got to be real with you because they will be compromised.
Demetra, final thoughts?
So, in closing, I just say thank you so much for coming on. But I'd like to ask you, what do you say to those who are always waiting on the activists to do something? Well, when they gonna do something? Where are black leaders at? What do you say to them? Like, what can they do in the meantime? Because I saw a comment on here. I was wondering, I won't say what it was, but wondering how come you didn't answer a phone call? And the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, well, what was the matter with you? Why didn't you do something in the meantime? So what would you say to those people who are waiting on you?
Well, I would say, first of all, don't look to the activists first and foremost to do anything. Look to those who are consistently on the payroll first to do something. Your pastor is consistently on your payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Your official gets health insurance, free health insurance for him and her family, his family. And they get a check every month for being your elected official. So you got people that actually pay to represent you. So before you look to those who are not consistently on your payroll to do something, why don't you look first to those who are consistently on your payroll? And where's your pastor? Where's the elected official? For they're being paid to do this work, for sure. Secondly, the leader you're looking for is standing in the mirror. The leader you're looking for is standing in the mirror.
There it is.
Stop asking me what I'm going to do and ask me what we can do. Stop asking about what that one going to do and what that sister going to do. Hell no, what you going to do? So let's find out what you're doing and they doing. Now let's get together and let's do it together and make something really happen. But see, that be them scary Negroes who are too lazy to do any damn thing. They always want to talk about what somebody else is doing, but yet they not calling the activists saying, can I help you do it? So that's what I would suggest that they do. Start with the leader first in the mirror. Then talk to the brother or sister that's known for doing activism and reach out to them and see how you can help them.
Donovan, final thoughts?
Final thought. Remember in the movie Malcolm X, where the brother was just so amazed after he had heard Malcolm talk, he says, you know, I want to be a Muslim too, but he didn't know what it was.
I remember
So
this.
my question to you is, that some of the people that are listening to the show right now, maybe some youngsters might be interested, they've heard about the Nation of Islam. What would you suggest they do, read, or, you know, to get them started if they're interested in joining the Nation of Islam or supporting the Nation of Islam?
You know, I would say this. I am the leader of the New Black Panther Nation. I lead the New Black Panther Nation across the country. And that's a lot of what I've been doing now for the last 3 years. A lot of work underground, mobilizing and organizing in different cities, establishing and building different chapters. Because one thing that we need is Black people. You can't really be effective without an army. If you don't have an army, you really can't be effective. So you need an army. So I want to first, since I'm on here, I don't know if they're listening or not, but I want to thank Sister Captain Sharon for the work she's doing in her city. Brother Chairman and Captain Frank for the work he's doing in his city. Sister Kendra, Brother Michael, Brother David for the work they're doing in their cities on behalf of the New Black Panther Nation. I would say this, brothers and sisters, leader, try to first be a follower. You got too many activists out here that want to be activists when they've never been a follower. They want to be overnight leaders, but they've never followed anybody. And if you've never learned what it is to be a follower, how can you truly love and protect and properly guide those with whom you lead if you've never been in their shoes? So I would say stop trying to be the leader and first try to be a follower. Then once you grow and you spiritually and physically and mentally and financially become stronger and you be filled with greater wisdom, then step on out there and do some leading. But let's see if first you can be a follower. Because if you become a leader first and you're not a follower ever, you won't be a leader long. Not at all. So I'm not going to encourage anybody to go join the Nation of Islam and join the Shrine of the Black Madonna or join the Panthers or the Shape Community Center or Joel Osteen's church and the Best Life Now, all that foolishness. I'm not going to do that. But I am going to say, to me, if I've ever done anything that you respect or admire, I learned it in the house of the Nation of Islam under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And before I became a Panther, I was taught and built and instructed and qualified there. There's no way I could be the new Black Panther Nation leader that I've become, and I'm still trying to become, had it not been for the Nation of Islam and the mosque. So I would say, join the Black organizations. As Sajifo Kwame Nkrumah said, Stokely Carmichael, former Stokely Carmichael, may Allah be pleased with him. He said that join a Black organization, become a part of a Black organization. And even Minister Farrakhan said join the NAACP and the Urban League. We need real revolutionary Negroes to join those Negro groups, to stir it up, to shake it up. So I say join all Black organizations. That's what I suggest.
I'm going to close it out with this. Something that you just said. My father used to tell me, he said, in order to be a good chief, you had to be a good Indian. Mm-hmm. He said, but while you were being a good Indian, you had chief tendencies in you the whole time. Everybody's not born to lead the revolution. Everybody doesn't have that in them. To walk the walk that we have to walk some days, you have to understand you're looking at two of the most vocal Black educated leaders in the country in Quanell X and Gary Monroe. You sure you want to walk in them shoes? Because it ain't an easy walk some days. But the one thing we're not going to do, we're not going to back down. We're not going to back down. So I applaud you, my brother, for always setting the example for those that choose to get into the activism game. I tell people, you can say what you want by Q. When I call him, he answer the phone. If I ever got a question, he's going to give me the answer to the question. And he ain't gonna beat around the bush. He gonna tell me the real. So for those that like to talk bad about the nation, I want you to understand when you look at Quanell X, you have no clue where he came from.
That's right.
You have no clue what he walked away from to just try to get it in order. But it took the nation to do it. We got something in common, because my life ain't been the same since I heard the minister either. That's when I went to war, because I clearly knew at that time who the enemy truly was.
Right.
And we have the same philosophies. So I'm gonna tell y'all what, man. Future shows, man, is blowing out the water. Oh my goodness, man. Today we got Cynthia Cooper gonna come through. Y'all know Coop, 4-time WNBA champion, Naismith Hall of Famer. Talk to Coop today. She gonna come through. This Saturday we got Vince Young coming through, Texas legend in football, man. So you know, and the good thing about us, and I tell people this here, we ain't the turkey leg hut. We don't just cater to superstars. Sunday I'm gonna do something a little different. If y'all cool with it, why don't we honor our mothers? Why don't we put up a link for them to come in and out this show? If you want to honor your mother Sunday, then come on in and you get to pop on the screen with us. Because it ain't the big dudes that made us, it's the little people that sit there and watch every single night for us to listen to me talk crazy. And I go off some days, Q, you know me.
Of course.
But to have a brother come on that I see do the work, I've been watching him do the work, taking care of the seniors, taking care of the youth in the community. That's what this is all about, man. That's what this is all about. Tomorrow night, Judge Angela Graves Harrington. We got to have a conversation about exactly what she do and make sure that we are following the law and the judge ain't violating it. And that's what it is. So here's my thing. I appreciate you coming through, Q.
Thank you, brother.
Doing what you do. And you got to keep doing it. Keep setting the example. I want to thank my co-host, Donovan Sadiq, the Nubian Queen, Demetra K, and our guest tonight, my good friend, Quanell X. Every night, 7 o'clock. Man, you rocking with the 5-star General, Doc. It don't get no better. We'll see you tomorrow.